Okay, so for today, we're just doing a couple practice off of the first 20. I'm doing a different one so that you can like practice it and you can save that problem for later. Here's one. Everybody, please try this one. And we're going to talk through. Do you like to divide fractions? Well, I do because I like to immediately change it from divide into multiply. And then multiply fractions is the easiest thing in the world. So this is one of our top 20 skills. I'm telling you, I teach pre-calc and this comes up all the time. It just came up on our last test. Like seriously, in pre-calc. This was on there. It was at the end of a complicated problem and it ended up being a fraction over a fraction. And a few kids lost the point for this question because they forgot. You just have to change it to times. Mr. James, what do you do? Times 5 over 4. Notice he flipped this one. And then it's 10 over 12. Can I leave it as 10 twelfths? No. Hopefully you'll be smart enough to go, wait a minute. That's 2 times 5 over 2 times 6. And look at, if you can factor it, you should. I factored them. Because 2 times 5 is 10. That's factors. And look at 5, 6. Fraction over fraction. Flip and multiply. Pausing. All right, so the next nominated kind to practice was like this. So everybody try this one. Negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 8 all over 6. This is definitely one of the top 3 hardest questions. So let's say you just did x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I had this when I was done. A lot of people get stumped. Here's where you start. Nobody in here knows exactly what the square root of 8 is as a decimal. So we don't want that. But nobody knows what it is. It goes on forever and it doesn't repeat. Okay, so nobody knows what the square root of 8 is as a decimal. But you can simplify it to 2 square roots. Would somebody please tell me what? Square root of what and square root of what? Yeah, 4 and 2. And it doesn't really matter what order you do it in, but this is the one that worked out perfect because the square root of 4 is actually 2. So then it's 2 root 2. Now that's a skill in itself. That's one of my just nasty secrets of the top 20 is it's really not 20 things. This is actually, this test has like 2 parts to every problem. If you didn't know how to do this, you couldn't do it. So it's testing you on, do you know how to simplify what are called rationals or no, not rationals, sorry. Radicals. There we go. So, did you know how to make that into that? Because if you couldn't do that, you'd be stuck. Next, it's about factoring. Matt, do you know what to factor next?
2 out.
Yeah, the 2 comes out. In fact, let's just take out the 2. That'll be simple. You could have taken out a negative 2, but let's just take out a regular 2. And then what would you have left? You take this one and this one. And really what you're doing when you're taking a 2 out is you're dividing them both by 2. If you never knew that, welcome to how you actually do this. Negative 2 plus and minus square root of 2. Well, it's 2 times 3. We want the 2 there so that we can see, oh, look, it cancels with that one. And there's your final answer. Negative 2 plus and minus the square root of 2 all over 3.
So you're always going to simplify the square root first?
Yep, for sure. Okay, yes.
I don't know.
Yes, except, yeah, I guess you can go. Just make sure you write your name on the thing and put the time on there. Do you have any other last questions about the first 20? If you know you're probably going to get that kind wrong, find a piece of scratch paper. You can do this.
Do you have another one that you can put, well...
That same kind?
We do, no, like that negative b plus, or...
Sure. Okay, let's say you get a problem like this. And you go, okay, I'm adding 3 to both sides. First of all, would you have known to do that? Because you always want it to equal 0. Now, x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's it. If you didn't have that memorized, memorize it. A lot of people learn it to a song, the Pop Goes the Weasel song. Back to C equals negative, B plus or minus square, root B squared minus 4AC, up over 2A. And then, here's A, here's B, and here's C. This one is going to work out nice. When you put in A, B, and C, that's A. So that goes in there and there. This is C, so it only goes there. And this is our B, so it goes here and there. I already said it. This is the hardest question on here. Negative of negative 5 makes 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared is 25 minus 4 times A, which was 1, times C, which is 4, all over 2A, which is 2 times 1, which is 2. There is that problem, the hardest one that'll be on this sheet. Then I want to warn you about this spot, because usually that's where people mess up. I mean, who's going to mess up just a 5, or who's going to mess up just a 2? It's the root that messes people up. And you end up with the square root of 25 minus 16, which is 9. Ooh, another really tragic mistake. People leave it as the square root of 9. What is the square root of 9? 3.
So plus or minus 5 plus or minus 3.
Yeah. And then another tragic mistake is to leave it like that, because you can actually do it. What's 5 plus 3 divided by 2? It comes out to 4. Good. And what is 5 minus 3 divided by 2?
1.
Yep, 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So those are my two answers, 4 and 1. Cool. You've been reminded of everything, and I really believe that when we're done grading, you guys will probably beat my other hour, I'm not sure, and that will mean that you will have been the highest performing regular higher algebra class that I've ever had. We will see. Because we've worked on this really hard, and I'm hoping that you really show it right here. All right, so we're going to take that first 20 right now for the last time, unless you decide to take retakes of it. It goes in the summative. Do your best. That's all I have for the video for today, and then I'm handing out the packet in case you're absent today. I am handing out the packet. You can print one yourself from home and just start doing the review packet.